So you're wondering if Lehi, Utah is a good place to live? Well, today we are going to be talking about the pros and cons of living in Lehi, Utah, and we're going to get started right now. Mariah, Koehle here. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if this is your very first time here. This channel is literally everything you need to know about eating, working, playing, sleeping, and living in the Salt Lake City, Utah area. If that is of interest to you, consider subscribing down below so you don't miss our weekly videos. We hear from people like you all the time who are looking to make a move or relocating here, and we absolutely love it. So if you are thinking about making a move out here to Utah, feel free to give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email, and it would be our pleasure to connect with you. Hey there, so today we are going to be talking about the pros and cons of living here in Lehi, Utah, and we are going to go ahead and get started. So number one, you're wondering, hey, I'm thinking about making a move out to Utah. I've been hearing a lot about Lehi. What is Lehi all about? What are some of the good things? What are some of maybe not so good things? And let's hop right into it. So I'm going to be talking with you today about 4 of the pros and 4 of the cons of living here in Lehi, Utah. So number one, pro for living in Lehi, Utah is just the diversity. Because of where it's situated right in the Silicon Slopes. So the Silicon Slopes is it's a term used after the Silicon Valley, which is in California. The Silicon Slopes is known for its tech industry, and so really people from all over the place have come to Lehi, Utah for work, for jobs, and for different opportunities that are right there. So the diversity that has come into Lehi is something that a lot of people enjoy there, and which leads us right into the second one is just the jobs. You've got companies like Adobe and Facebook and Ancestry.com. Lots of different companies are coming to Lehi, Utah, and because people are coming to Lehi, many people are living right in Lehi also. Now there's 2 different parts of Lehi. You've got the 15 freeway that runs basically right through Lehi, Utah. So on the east side of Lehi, you are going to have the Silicon Slopes. So the Silicon Slopes is more up in an area, it's called Traverse Mountain, and sometimes you hear people say Traverse Mountain, but Traverse usually is what they call it here. And you have the outlets that are down below. So you've got shopping outlets, you've got like a little mall area that's there. A lot of eateries and restaurants are right there too. And then kind of surrounding that whole Traverse area, you are going to have lots of different homes. In the Traverse area, you're going to have all the homes that are up there. Down below, you're going to have some areas called Ivory Ridge. And then on the west side of Lehi, that's where you're going to see, there's still tech that's over there, but you're also going to see what's called Thanksgiving Point. And Thanksgiving Point has a bunch of different museums. They've got a golf course. They've got, lots of different communities that are over on the west side, Thanksgiving Point area. And those museums, you've got one that's called the Curiosity Museum, which is a children's museum. If you have kids, and it is an amazing place that I've taken my kids to lots of different museums over the year, but this one takes it to another level. They've got climbing structures in there. They've got zip lines in there. They've got water structures and features in there. They've got music rooms. They've got really something for all ages. So they even have little, baby play areas too. So really something for everybody. And then along with that Curiosity Museum, just right down the street, you've got the Dinosaur Museum, you've got this Farmland Museum, you've got Ashton Gardens, which is right there, which is basically like a garden kind of museum, but an area to walk around. During Christmas time, they have, and actually during the holidays, I think it starts sometime in November and goes to right around January, they have something called Luminaria, and it's a big light show that they have right in the gardens, and you walk around and then they've got lights going to music. It's really, really spectacular. So with that whole Thanksgiving Point area, you can get passes to, like, if you're a member, you can get passes there and go all year long, and they're actually pretty affordable. I know we've had passes there in the past, which have been great. So like I said, the east side is more that Traverse Mountain area, split right through by the 15 freeway, and then on the west side you're going to have that Thanksgiving Point, you're going to have that, you know, neighborhoods and areas around there, and then you're also going to have an area called Pioneer Crossing, and Pioneer Crossing is just a little bit past the main street of Lehi. So you've got Main Street Lehi, which is kind of like, you're going to see more brick buildings, older Main Street, and then if you keep going more toward the west, toward Saratoga Springs, toward that Eagle Mountain area, but it's right before that, you're going to have Pioneer Crossing. And then of course, if you're looking for your Costco, if you're looking for Target, if you're looking for Lowe's and Home Depot and Walmart, that's going to be on the east side of the freeway also. And so lots of shopping, lots of things, you know. So we've touched on the diversity, we've touched on the jobs. We've also, now moving right along, if you're looking for, like I said, if you're looking for your shopping, there is quite a few places to shop that are right in Lehi, and then right next to Lehi is American Fork. And those cities, kind of with where some of the different shopping is, are really, really close to each other. But you have like your Costco and your Lowe's and your Home Depot and your Walmart. All those places are in Lehi on the west side of, or on the east side of the freeway, right past Main Street. So if you go to Main Street, you're going to see the iconic, it's called Lehi Rolling Mills. And it is a place that has actually been there for years and years and years, but a lot of different flour and type of baking goods. They have incredible brownies that you can buy, a lot of different mixes and stuff from there. But so Lehi definitely has plenty of shopping. And then number 4 is going to be really just the accessibility that Lehi offers. Lehi is about, you know, 20, depending on where you are, 25 minutes from the Salt Lake International Airport. It's about, again, depending on where you are in Lehi, if you're on the west side or the east side of Lehi, it kind of depends on where you are. If you're up higher in Traverse Mountain, or if you're down lower, you know, it might add an extra 5 minutes or so to your commute. But really, you're about 25 minutes away from the airport. And then you're about 20 minutes from Provo, Utah. You are about, you know, 25 minutes, depending on where you are, to Salt Lake, actually to downtown Salt Lake. So the accessibility of Lehi, Utah is really nice. And many people that are moving here, they want quick access to the freeway too. And so the accessibility, closeness to the airport, closeness to Salt Lake City is a real draw for people that are looking for a place here in Utah, and they've got a job that's either nearby or whatnot. So along with all of those pros living here in Lehi, Utah, there are also some disadvantages. Number 1, something that people didn't tell us before we moved here is, again, depending on where you are in Lehi, like the Traverse Mountain area is gorgeous, spectacular views, you know, beautiful new homes. But something that you want to take into consideration there is it gets windy. It gets a lot windier than people imagine. And this is actually one of the reasons that you will see a lot of people have in-ground trampolines. So a lot of people have kids out here, and when they have their trampolines, those out of ground trampolines, if it's a windy day, they will go literally flying. I have seen trampolines flying, garbage cans flying, things, you know, things just, the wind ends up picking up. And actually I was talking to a good friend of mine that moved from out of state to, you know, to Lehi up in the Traverse area maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And she was like, Mariah, I was like, okay, what do you love, you know, about here? What do you not? And she's like, oh, I love the community. I love, you know, they have a clubhouse there. They've got swimming pools and all the different things. And she's like, I love how close it is to everything. I love the accessibility, the neighbors, the neighborhood. Awesome. She's like, but I didn't know how windy it was. I said, okay, so would it have changed your mind moving there, knowing now what you know of like, okay, yeah, it gets windy? She's like, no, I still like it. So again, totally, just something that you should be in mind of and, be mindful of. And then number two, Lehi also, and again, really just Utah in general. Number two, the humidity here in Utah, there isn't much. There really isn't. So it is dry here in Utah, that Lehi area, all around here. It's just a dry climate. And so knowing that, I remember when we first came here too, I remember thinking, gosh, my hands always feel so dry. It's the elevation, it's where we live. So something else to keep in mind, the wind and the dryness. Number three, something that some people think as a con here is definitely going to be the price of housing has increased drastically over the last decade because you've got, such a good tech industry here, because it's very accessible, because lots of, families and, people are enjoying coming here. It has definitely raised the price of housing here. Compared to moving from out of state, for a lot of people, they're looking at, brand new homes, and they can get a house here for a lot cheaper than they can somewhere else. But especially for Utah residents, people are looking at Lehi and going, oh my goodness, this used to be a really affordable place. But the price of housing has definitely gone up. And so that may end up being a fit for you. It may not. But again, housing prices have increased a bit, which I get. And number four, con for living in Lehi is just going to be the congestion with traffic. Over the years, and as this tech industry has, boomed, and as more people have come into the area, we are noticing that there is just a lot more traffic getting from one place to the next. I personally have noticed that there is more traffic on the west side of the freeway, kind of over near that Pioneer Crossing. I remember years ago when I was an elementary teacher, I was teaching third grade up in Eagle Mountain. I was living in Provo, Utah at the time, and I could get from Provo, Utah all the way up to Eagle Mountain where I was teaching elementary school, and I could drive. It would take me 40 minutes to get from like city center Provo all the way to Eagle Mountain, and I would go right through Main Street, Lehi, and just head on out there. And again, it took me 40 minutes, which seems like a lot. Now you would be lucky to make that commute in an hour, especially during, busy times. But that Main Street in Lehi out toward Pioneer Crossing and all that, it gets congested. So something just to also consider, depending on where you're wanting to move in Lehi, that traffic can be a little bit much, and lots of things here on Sunday are closed. So just keep that in mind as well. Some people think that is a pro, and other people think like, oh my gosh, there's nowhere to eat or there's no place to go on Sunday here in Lehi. But also just something to keep in mind. So if you are thinking about making a move out here to Lehi, feel free to give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email, and it would be our pleasure to connect with you. We really do hear from people like you all the time, and it would be our pleasure to help you out. Take care and have a great one. Bye.